the headlines, President Park Geun-hye voices opposition to the idea of raising taxes to fund more welfare, essentially vowing to stick to her campaign pledge of better welfare with no tax hikes. Washington says it supports the scholars who are calling on Japan to allow academic freedom when it comes to describing its wartime atrocities. And exactly 3 years to go until the 2018 Winter Olympics here in Korea in the town of Pyeongchang. We check on the progress made and concerns raised. Welcome to the program. You're watching Primetime News. Live from Seoul, I am Kang Chiri.
And I'm Sean Lim. Hope your week is off to a great start. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We begin with the ongoing debate over whether to raise taxes to finance Korea's welfare spending. President Park says outright that no new taxes are necessary.
And she stresses that the issue can be solved through economic revitalization. But her solution, however, is drawing criticism across party lines. Our Ji Myung-gil has more.
President Park Geun-hye has voiced her opposition to raising taxes in order to fund welfare programs. She said Monday that economic revitalization is the key to making up for any revenue shortfall for welfare, and that it will also help create jobs and raise tax revenue.
경제 활성화를 위해서 최선을 다하지 않고 이 세수가 부족하니까 뭐 이렇게 국민에게 세금을 더 걷어야 된다 하면은 그것이 우리 그 정치 쪽에서 국민에게 할 수 있는 소리냐.
Since Park's administration came into office in 2013, her government has been dogged by questions about whether it could deliver on a key campaign pledge to provide expensive welfare programs without raising taxes. She has even drawn criticism from her own ruling Saenuri party, which views her stance on the issue as unrealistic. Critics argue that the government is trying to squeeze more money out of ordinary wage earners. In recent months, the government has raised cigarette prices and introduced a revised tax settlement scheme, drawing fire for both from the general public. Adding fuel to the fire, the main opposition party's newly elected chairman, Moon Jae-in, vowed to fight against President Park's policies on his first day in the post.
I will stand against President Park Geun-hye's hidden motives to raise the taxes of ordinary citizens. I will go against plans to limit welfare expansion.
Moon pledged to raise the corporate tax rate and withdraw tax cuts for the rich in order to establish what he described as a fair tax system. The ruling party responded by saying it will gather opinions from inside the party and continue to communicate with the opposition party on tax-related issues. Ji Myung-gil, Arirang News.
And here's another factor that could potentially intensify political differences between parties. The main opposition Liberal Party now has a new leader, and the former presidential candidate Moon Jae-in is first looking to eradicate sub-party factions for greater influence. Our Park Ji-won tells us more.
The new leader of Korea's main opposition party, Moon Jae-in, paid his respects to three former presidents, Lee Seung-man, Park Geun-hye, and Kim Dae-jung on Monday, the day after his election.
I'm paying my respects to signify my commitment to ending the discord and bringing about national unity.
The new chairman of the New Politics Alliance for Democracy Party also had some words of advice for the Park Geun-hye administration, urging it to choose the path of reconciliation and integration.
There are many things the Park administration has done that run counter to national unity. For example, its extreme bias and discrimination in her personnel appointments.
Moon's election as the new opposition party leader is expected to deepen the confrontation between the nation's ruling and opposition camps. In his acceptance speech on Sunday, the former presidential candidate, who was once the former chief of staff for the late President Roh Moo-hyun, vowed to be a strong voice of opposition against the incumbent administration. In response, ruling Saenuri Party Chairman Kim Moo-sung stressed political coexistence over confrontation in his meeting with the new opposition leader on Monday.
Politics is all about negotiation and compromise. And what people want is win-win politics for both political camps.
The new opposition party leader now faces the huge task of revamping a party plagued with deep-rooted factional strife before the by-elections this year and the general election next year. All eyes will now be on Moon as he takes his first steps. Park Geun-hye, Arirang News.
And while taxes are at the center of the welfare debate for 5 straight years, the tax burden on Korean households has risen at a faster pace than household income. But corporate taxes have been on a downward trend. Park Geun-hye has the details on the growing burden for ordinary families.
The tax burden for Korean households outpaced income gains by nearly double in the first 3 quarters last year. Data from Statistics Korea shows the average monthly income of a household with more than 2 members stood at around $4,000, up more than 3.5% from a year ago. But households' average monthly spending on taxes rose almost 6% to around $140. The trend of households' tax burden increasing at a faster pace than their income has been an ongoing issue since 2010. And because tax expenditures exclude indirect taxes like value-added dues that households pay as they spend money to buy products, the actual tax burden on them is heavier. It's no surprise then that national income tax revenues collected mostly from ordinary citizens are on the rise. Korea's national income tax revenue has risen for the past 2 years since 2012, while corporate tax revenues were on a downward trend during the period. Although the government points to the sluggish economy at home and abroad for the low corporate tax revenues, experts say it should seek ways to create tax equity. Hwang Ji-hye, Arirang News.
Falling global oil prices are having a mixed impact on Korea's economy, but one group that's hurting for sure is the construction sector. With many firms targeting overseas clients in the Middle East, the pain is not likely over yet. Shin Se-min tells us more.
Korean overseas construction industry is hurting after seeing its earnings fall for the first time in 4 years. The Bank of Korea says the current account surplus from overseas construction dropped to $17 billion last year, down 16% from the previous year. It's the first drop since 2010 when earnings fell nearly 18%. The balance of overseas contracts includes the payments that Korean builders have received for the progress made on existing orders from overseas. The decline in revenue is largely attributed to falling global oil prices, as a large portion of Korean construction firms are located in oil-producing countries in the Middle East. Experts say the oil price drop will be a troubling factor for many Korean builders looking for overseas deals, as it is hard to predict how long the current low oil prices will last. Korea's overseas construction industry has seen steady growth since 2010, from nearly $12 billion that year to $20 billion in 2013. The data says that the number had been rising by a yearly average of 20%. Korean builders, however, secured $66 billion in overseas construction projects last year alone, the second highest total in history, but still short of the government's initial target of $70 billion. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
TV home shopping has gone through several upgrades here in Korea. Home shopping channels offer great deals, and now they're essential sales outlets for small and mid-sized firms. Our Song Ju-sun takes a closer look at the big picture on this week's Industry Insight.
This thread and textile company, founded half a century ago, was once facing a crisis. It was battling cheap Chinese imports while struggling to find a new retail outlet. But now it has transformed itself into a fast fashion producer, and its products are sold on 2 major TV home shopping channels. Its television sales are more than 10 times what it's raised through offline sales.
We are a traditional manufacturing company and couldn't afford all the marketing expenses needed to advertise our products. So we ventured onto home shopping channels that helped us gain wide recognition in a short period of time.
Many small and mid-sized companies like this have turned their products into household names through home shopping channels. There have been many changes in the past 2 decades since home shopping channels first launched in Korea. The channels now offer practically everything under the sun, and the format has also evolved over time. Korea's home shopping industry has created a unique business model. Unlike the kinds of short infomercials you might see in other countries, Korean home shopping channels manage to keep the viewers watch the shows for a full hour by making them entertaining. It's not just celebrities advertising the products, but ordinary people testing them with industry professionals. Korea's home shopping format of featuring a single product has also captured viewers overseas, especially in Asia. 4 Korean channels, mostly run by large conglomerates, have entered 10 countries over the past decade. And this leading channel is now seeking to expand its sales overseas to become the world's #1 home shopping distributor by 2020.
We've reduced the risks by entering the market through joint ventures, and we established an international outsourcing company to customize our product line. We also focus on introducing Korean products by smaller companies because it is harder for them to enter foreign markets than larger companies can.
In fact, over 70% of Korean products sold overseas through the channel are by small and mid-sized companies, creating a new Korean wave of products. Government regulators say home shopping companies' move into foreign markets could also help improve market issues here at home, like the high commission taken by the stations.
Expanding their overseas business could improve their profits as domestic market growth is slowing down, whereas foreign markets are just booming. This could also make room for domestic home shopping channels to lower their commission rates, which stand as an entry barrier for small and mid-sized companies.
The government will also launch a new public home shopping channel in the first half that will be solely dedicated to handling the products of small and mid-sized companies in its bid to help startups use home shopping channels to introduce their products. 송지선, 아리랑 뉴스.
The United States has reiterated that it welcomes a dialogue with North Korea only when the regime is serious about getting back to denuclearization. Speaking to reporters in Seoul on Monday, U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Tony Blinken said it's important to sustain international solidarity in pressuring North Korea. On the question of deploying an integral part of the United States missile defense system called THAAD to South Korea, he said there is no decision nor active discussions on the issue with the South Korean government. This is Blinken's first overseas trip as the Deputy Secretary of State and the 3rd visit to South Korea by a senior U.S. official in recent weeks. The U.S. government says it supports the scholars who are calling for more academic freedom from the Japanese government when it comes to describing its past wartime atrocities. Will this apply more pressure on Tokyo to face its past wrongdoings? Our Kana Kim tells us more.
The U.S. government has lent its support to a group of U.S. historians who have been protesting Japan's attempts to whitewash history. The State Department told Seoul-based Yonhap News Agency Sunday that it strongly supports academic freedom as part of the foundation of a democratic society. It urged Tokyo to approach its historical wrongdoing through healing and reconciliation. Now, this comes after a group of 19 historians issued a joint statement expressing opposition to Japan's efforts to pressure U.S. publisher McGraw-Hill to change how the sexual slavery issue is described in one of its textbooks. Historians estimate that 200,000 women, mostly Koreans, were forced by the Japanese army to serve in military brothels during World War II. A collective statement by history scholars is seen as unusual, and it's expected to put pressure on Abe during his upcoming trip to the U.S. this spring. The trip will be Abe's first U.S. visit in about 2 years, and experts say he'll try to use it as an opportunity to deepen Tokyo's alliance with Washington. Abe also wants to push ahead with efforts to revise the country's pacifist constitution and give the country the right to collective self-defense, in other words, to allow the Japanese military to aid allies under attack. Experts say another item on Abe's to-do list is to complete the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal that would strengthen Japan-U.S. economic cooperation in the region. But with U.S. pushing to restore trilateral security cooperation between South Korea and Japan, analysts say it seems that Tokyo will be left with no choice but to address its past wrongdoing in order to move forward with what Japan has on its agenda. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
President Park Geun-hye is weighing various diplomatic factors before deciding whether she will attend a World War II anniversary ceremony in Russia this May. South Korea's unification minister Ryu Kil-jae said Monday that current sanctions against Moscow for its involvement in the Ukraine crisis must be taken into consideration. He said the government also needs to consult with relevant ministries and allies before responding to Kremlin's invitation. Numerous heads of state, including the leaders of both South and North Korea, have been invited to Russia for celebrations marking the 70th anniversary of Nazi Germany's defeat in World War II.
With high-level talks on the Ukraine crisis set to take place in less than 2 days' time, a new hurdle towards peace has emerged.
With more, we turn to Paul Yee at the News Center. Paul, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced he will reject any ultimatums over Ukraine. What does this mean for the upcoming summit in Minsk?
Well, watchers say it may jeopardize this four-way meeting between the leaders of Ukraine, Germany, France, and Russia. The Kremlin carried the statement on Monday after the Wall Street Journal reported that Germany had given Putin until Wednesday to agree to the peace plan or else face new sanctions. The Russian leader had earlier warned he would only attend the peace summit if the other leaders agreed to what he called a number of points. However, he didn't elaborate what those conditions were. Ahead of the crucial meeting, Putin expressed optimism with the president of Belarus.
We are orienting ourselves for Wednesday. If within that time frame we can agree on a number of positions that we have recently talked about intensively.
In the meantime, the European Union has agreed to delay imposing new sanctions against Russia. Speaking in Brussels, France's Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius said the postponement would hinge on progress made this Wednesday. The conflict in eastern Ukraine between government forces and pro-Russian rebels has dragged on over the last 10 months, claiming more than 5,000 lives. And turning to Australia, Prime Minister Tony Abbott has survived a no-confidence vote in Parliament in one of the biggest trials of his leadership. Abbott is expected to use his new mandate to address criticisms of how he's handled the economy and security challenges. This as he continues to struggle with infighting within his own political party. In a televised statement, Abbott insisted the turmoil was over and called for national unity.
Obviously, I accept that the last few weeks have been difficult weeks for the government, but they've also been difficult weeks for the Australian people because the people expect and deserve a government which is getting on with the job. I am confident that we have put this time behind us. I am confident that as of today, we're back at work for the people of Australia.
A secret ballot of party members voted down the motion to oust Abbott on Monday. The final tally was 61 to 39. A new public survey published by Newspoll showed Abbott's approval ratings plummeting to its lowest level since he took office in 2013. Only 24% of voters said they were happy with his job performance. That's down 30 percentage points since last June. And shifting to the music industry, the British singer Sam Smith has won big at the Grammy Awards in California as he joins a host of other breakout artists this year. He was able to take away 2 of the top Grammy Awards for his heartbreak single Stay With Me, which won both Record and Song of the Year. The 22-year-old was also named Best New Artist, and his debut album took the Best Pop Vocal prize. Later backstage, Smith said he was overwhelmed by the honors.
Thank you so much. Well, I feel like Kate Winslet at the Oscars right now. I've never done one of these. It's amazing. I don't know how to react right now. This is absolutely incredible. It's a dream come true. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life.
The biggest surprise of the night went to Beck for winning Album of the Year at the music industry's biggest event. Other notable winners included Pharrell Williams and Beyoncé, who won 3 Grammys each. Williams collected Best Pop Solo and Best Music Video for his hit song Happy, which he performed at the ceremony on Sunday. And that wraps up our look at international stories for now. I'll see you back here tomorrow night.
Hello everyone, I'm Stephen Che with the Sports Brief. Now the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics kicks off here in Korea exactly 3 years as of Monday. But there are issues over the progress of its preparation. Connie Lee has more.
For those of you counting down, the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics is exactly 3 years away. Come February 9th, 2018, the high-profile competition will kick off in Gangwon-do province with top athletes aiming for gold. While it still seems a long way off, in actuality, the clock is ticking for Korea as it must complete all preparations a year before the Games open. With budget and environmental issues looming, the question is whether Korea will be ready in time. So far, only around 10% of work has been done on the 6 new facilities being built for the Olympics, and the funds received from sponsors to bankroll construction only make up 15% of the goal of about $730 million needed. Meanwhile, citizens of Gangwon-do are up in arms about money being wasted, especially the combined $219 million being used on the speed skating rink and an ice hockey rink, which will be dismantled after the 17-day event. As for facilities that are set to be used afterwards, like the 12,000-seater figure skating rink, with no concrete plans for how the venue will be put to use, local residents aren't exactly excited about adding another rink to the 5 they already have. Pyeongchang officials say Korea will be ready in time, but hopes linger that more practical plans will be implemented soon enough. Connie Lee, Arirang News.
And moving on, a flurry of golf was played over the weekend with both the LPGA and PGA in action. Let's start with the women over in the Bahamas. Rookie Kim Se-young of Korea lifted her first LPGA trophy after a 3-way playoff in just her second tournament, making it 2 wins in a row for Koreans on the tour. Meanwhile, Lydia Ko, who finished 7th, stayed atop the world rankings as Park Geun-hye failed to reach 2nd or higher. For the PGA, Jason Day won the Farmers Insurance Open after a thrilling playoff. He's now 4th in the world, the highest ever ranking for an Australian golfer. And heading to the KBL hardcourt, we go to Busan. The KT Sonic Boom took on the Anyang KGC. A high-scoring first quarter saw KGC nab the lead, eventually taking a 7-point edge into the final period. Despite KT tying it up with about a minute left, KGC pulled away to get the 5-point victory. And flying over to pro volleyball in the V-League, the KEPCO Vic Storm faced the LIG Graders in Suwon. The visiting Graders took the first set, but the Vic Storm powered their way to sweep the next 3. With 13 blocks at net, KEPCO's defense was in top form. The win helped them fortify 3rd on the standings. And finally, Côte d'Ivoire are the kings of African football after defeating Ghana in the finals of the Africa Cup of Nations. Côte d'Ivoire's victory over fellow continental powerhouse Ghana came after a scoreless 120 minutes and a nail-biting penalty shootout that saw 22 kickers step into the box. The winning goal came from the Ivorian keeper who blocked an opponent's shot just minutes before. It's their first title in 23 years and 2nd overall in the competition. And that wraps it up for sports. Your weather's up next. Have a good night.
Hello and welcome. I'm Kim Bo-kyung with your weather forecast. So heavy snowfall has nearly come to an end here in Seoul as rain clouds are moving towards Gangwon-do and Chungcheongbuk-do provinces. But it looks like areas in the central regions could get another centimeter of snow. And conditions should gradually clear up tonight, but for some areas, it could last through early tomorrow morning. Other than that, the microdust index may rise above normal levels in the capital regions tomorrow. Other than that, dry weather advisories are in effect along the east coast part of the country, where humidity levels have dropped to as low as 29% in parts of Gyeongsangnam-do province. Looking ahead, mild conditions are in store for the rest of the week, but there is a chance of showers on Sunday. On to Tuesday's readings. The daytime high here in Seoul hit 6. Meanwhile, Daegu and Busan hit the low teens. Meanwhile, Jeju reaches a high of 9. Dokdo hits 5. Mount Kumgang -4. That's all I have for you now, but more updates coming up after midnight. See you then.
That was certainly a lot of snow today. Be careful out there. And that's Primetime News for this Monday. I am Kang Tae-ri. Thanks for watching.
And I'm Sean Lim. Have a great evening. We'll see you soon.